Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis Hutchinson, and we're back with another awesome episode of the FYE Talks podcast. And this is a super special series of episodes we're working on for the Admire and Amplify event that we're hosting here at ECTC. We're looking to highlight and really amplify the voices of African American creators and small businesses in our community. And we're so excited to bring all of these people into the spotlight to show all the wonderful things that they do. So we have a very special guest, and I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Rachel Ditto, and I am a master cosmetologist at my own hair salon in Brandenburg, Kentucky. I wanted to name it the Hair Room, but I just kind of been going with Done by Ditto, so I guess that's the name of my shop.
Awesome. And so to begin with some questions here, what does Black History Month mean to you? If you had to kind of summarize why it's important to you, what it means to you, how would you do that?
I wouldn't say it's important. However, I think that it shouldn't be 1 month. I feel like it should be like all year. Not that there should be like parades and a big to do, but I feel like there's enough Black history to go through the whole year instead of just 1 month, and in particular the shortest month of the year. So it's very important because I feel like it will, if people knew real Black history and not necessarily what they're introducing in school, they don't really go into depth as far as the good, the bad, and the ugly. I feel like if more was introduced, then people could make their own judgment instead of what they say that race is taught. I think if some of my peers were able to get more info from school, then they could interpret for themselves what's right and what's wrong, not necessarily what's taught. So I guess to answer your question, it really shouldn't be localized to 1 month, maybe like all year and a little more curriculum. So I don't necessarily get in an uproar about Black History Month because we should actually be researching it all year, anytime you just want to know anything.
Absolutely. And definitely spreading more of that knowledge and awareness of what people have gone through and the movements and things like that, and all the efforts
Mm-hmm.
people have made to really celebrate, African American culture. And so, moving on here, what do you feel is one of the best ways that our community can come together and really celebrate African American creators and small businesses like yourself?
Exposure, more exposure. And with being in a small town, if you don't have the right name or you weren't born here, then and not necessarily just where I live, I've heard about it in other small towns. So I feel like if you got a little bit more exposure, maybe like what you guys are doing is awesome. Just asking, because I never really knew how to put myself out there. I just kind of made friends, and then their friends told their friends about me, and then their friends told their friends about me, and that's how I was able to build my clientele. But I've never really had like any exposure.
Gotcha. So, no like official coming and doing like a commercial or something like that. Gotcha.
Right, just reaching out.
And so, do you feel like that is a challenge unique to small towns, or do you feel like a lot of African American like creators and small business owners struggle to get that exposure, or that at least the same level of exposure?
Definitely in the small towns, it's tough. And then I'm also from Louisville, which is where I was born and raised. And I came down this way maybe like at 12 years old. So from the city aspect of it, there's so many people doing some of the same things, but it's probably more tougher in a small town because, if you don't have that family base, if you don't have a huge family, if you don't pick the right friends or the right group, then you don't get that exposure. You don't get that recognition.
That's very, very true. And so, what made you decide to kind of break off and open your own business and kind of do your own thing?
Well, honestly, even when I lived with my parents, I always had like a little section in my bedroom where I would do hair. In high school, I would do like the entire volleyball team's braids in the front. So I've always wanted to have my shop, but I've always been scared to. And I'm glad I didn't do it as soon as I got out of high school because I learned from different hairdressers. I've worked in Louisville, I've worked in Radcliffe, I've worked in E-Town. And so I've learned a lot along the way. And so I just did it, and then my mom, she braided hair. My aunt braided hair. One of my aunts on my dad's side, she went to barber school actually, and no one really did anything after that. So what they call a kitchen hairdresser, where you do hair at home in the kitchen,
Gotcha.
that's kind of like as far as it went. So I feel like you will always want the next generation to do not necessarily better, but go further than you do. So I would say to for them to be proud of me, I couldn't be a kitchen hairdresser. I had to go to the next level because why keep the cycle going? Like we have to go a little further. So my little one, he's 5, well 6, he decided that he wants to cut hair. So I don't want him to just have a shop in his house like I do. I chose this setting because I'm a very hands-on mom. I'm on the PTA. I go to school with them. I help them with their schoolwork. So being at home was better for me because when I was working in E-Town, I would actually leave work, go get them off the bus, wait till my husband got off at 4, and then head back to E-Town. And then I wouldn't get home till 10, 11 o'clock at night. Whereas when I'm at home, they can play their game while I'm doing hair. And then when I'm done, it's family time. There's no hour drive, which is when I was driving to Louisville. There's no hour drive. But it's 2 hours in the car a day that I would be losing.
Well, that's fantastic. That definitely brings it a lot closer to home. And so, moving on
Mm-hmm.
to another question here, what are some of the challenges that you feel as a business owner and as an African American woman that you've had to overcome that some people may not realize were a struggle or may not realize that were a barrier for you?
Honestly, going to hair school in Louisville, I mean in E-Town, you get put into a box. I'm a very diverse hairstylist. I have Korean clients, Mexican clients, African American clients, Caucasian clients. One of my good friends from high school, she's Hawaiian. Another one's Philippine. Like I have so many different types of friends and clients. I never wanted to be put into a box. And so that's why I chose the business logo I chose. That's why I chose the name that I chose, because you don't know what you're getting when you hear Done by Ditto. I didn't want to pick I wanted to pick the right name. I wanted a clean look because I wanted to be open to everyone. And when I was in school, they wanted to give me all the African American clients where really I don't want to pay tuition back to do hair that I've been doing since I was a child. I wanted to learn different types of hair, different ways that hair accepts products and color and things like that. So my problem, like my biggest thing that I feel like was a struggle for me is being boxed in. I don't want to only be assumed that I do black hair. I can do it all.
And it's really amazing that you point out because I feel like so much of that happens and people don't even realize that it occurs, and especially just
Hmm.
in education or anything
Hmm.
like that, which is my background. I mean, you see people being ushered to different groups that, look like them or come from their backgrounds.
Yes.
And obviously that's super important. I mean, it's vital that
Hmm.
you see people that look like you, that you are around people who look like you and have experiences. But at the same time, I mean, it really limits your prospects and how much you can learn from somebody else if you're never exposed to that other side. And so that's really
Hmm.
awesome.
I also have a 9-year-old, and I remember he was upset because we live in Brandenburg, and so there's probably just a few African American children, and then in particular there was one teacher, and he was determined to get into her classroom because he wanted to have a brown teacher,
Mhm.
and so she actually went and moved on to another school district, so he never got a chance to be in her class. But
Oh,
what I had to put into him is, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a teacher that looks like your mom or looks like you. You
mm,
don't really want to be like in a setting where that's all you see, because when you go to work, you're going to work with different types of people. When you go to college, even, you're going to be exposed to different type of people. And if everybody was blonde hair and blue eyed, then my job will be really boring. And so I learned so much. Like I even gave it to him as if we never had Chinese people in our lives, we would never have Chinese food. If I never had, Mexican friends, we wouldn't know about Mexican food. We wouldn't have our Miguel's and our El Caminos and our, the American style food. So you need to be diverse because when you get out in the real world outside of mom and dad's house, it's gonna be different. So you don't necessarily want to just be with your people. You need to know about other cultures. And I feel like when you learn about other cultures and their struggles, then you learn to respect their struggles and their achievements also.
Absolutely. And we always try and encourage people, reach outside and, see if there's something from another culture that is interesting to you. I mean, there's such a wealth of knowledge and such a wealth of experience that you can tap
Hmm.
into just by watching, YouTube videos or going to the mall. I mean, it's amazing
Yes.
things that you can learn and the people that you can meet and those stories that they have. I mean, it's wonderful.
Hmm. I've got a lot of good advice, a different way of looking at things, from how you raise your children to how you cook to like what's important to them. Like a lot of the Chinese culture and Korean culture, they are very big on honoring their parents and making sure
Mm,
that they stay in line and that they're doing good for their family. So there's just different values you get from everybody, from everybody.
absolutely. And so, just to kind of wrap it up here, if you had to give advice to someone looking to either diversify their perspectives or to break out into the hair scene or just anything like that, somebody looking to start their future as a young student, what advice would you give them?
If you have a dream, you need to go for it. You might lose some people along the way. Some people might not understand where you're going with with your vision. They might not understand it. Um, Stick to your prices. I learned that a hard way. They're gonna either pay for your service or they'll pay someone else for your service. Um, just really follow your dreams, and anything worth having is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. So many things happen to me along the way. There's been so many times I want to quit, uh, even with going through building my own shop. Like there was so many hurdles, so many inspections, so many things, and now that it's over and I sit out here and I realize it was really all worth it, but it took a lot to get here. So you just have to follow your dreams. It's going to be some hurdles, and if it's not nothing hard, then you won't have a testimony. You won't have any. If it's just given to you, you don't appreciate it. If you earn it, then you'll give your blood, sweat, tears, and you won't let nobody take it away from
Absolutely. Strong piece of advice. And so, thank you so much for coming on the FYE Talks podcast. We're so happy to have you and so happy that we could discuss, all the different things that we have with the, what Black history means for you and then how we can kind of diversify our perspectives and everything like that. And so, definitely check out. Would you like to drop your contact information below in case anybody would like to reach out and kind of speak with you a little bit more or check out your services?
me. Yes, I am on Facebook. I'm on Instagram at Done by Ditto. Or you can, my hashtag is verse stylist or hashtag Brandon Bird stylist.
Awesome. So thank you so much. And we look forward to hearing to more artists and more small business owners, creators, content makers in our community. Thank you so much for joining us today in another episode of the FYE Talks podcast. And remember, you can always check us out here every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Thank you and have a great day.